Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comments. Thanks. I didn't think much of it at first. Elizabeth had been traveling more for work lately. Conferences, seminars, networking events, she said, were important for her career. I supported it. That's what a husband does when he believes in his marriage. When she came back from this one, though, something felt off. Not wrong in a dramatic way, just different. She walked through the door, smiling. Not the tired, polite smile she usually wore after trips. This one was light, easy, like she'd left something heavy somewhere else. She hugged me, kissed my cheek, and said the conference went great. Lots of connections, productive sessions. I listened, nodded, asked questions. She answered smoothly, almost too smoothly, like she'd rehearsed it. That night, she slept fast, deep, no tossing, no scrolling on her phone, beside me like usual. I lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself that I was imagining things. After 12 years of marriage, you learn the difference between intuition and insecurity. This wasn't jealousy. It was pattern recognition. Over breakfast the next morning, she was still smiling. Humming, even. She talked about future plans, upcoming projects, how next year might be big for her. I noticed she didn't say, for us. Just for her. I told myself not to read into it. If this story is already making you notice the small details, press like so it can reach others who've lived them too. A few days later, I found the email by accident. A clinic notification on our shared tablet. Generic subject line. No name, no details. Just a reminder about test results being ready. Elizabeth was in the shower. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. We hadn't talked about any tests. No appointments. No concerns. I didn't open it. Not yet. I waited. That evening, I asked casually if she'd had any doctor visits recently. She froze for half a second. Most people wouldn't notice it. I did. She laughed it off, said it was probably spam, maybe something from a routine check months ago. Changed the subject. Asked me about work. The moment passed, but it didn't disappear. 2 days later, another notification came through. Same clinic. Same reminder tone. That was when I checked the account history. Multiple logins. Recent. Very recent. I felt that slow tightening in my chest, the kind that doesn't hurt yet, but promises it will. I waited until she left for work, then opened the email. The test wasn't what I expected. It wasn't a pregnancy test. It wasn't routine blood work. It was an STD panel. Comprehensive. Recently ordered. Recently completed. I sat there for a long time after reading that. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I didn't feel angry right away. I felt stupid, like I'd missed something obvious while patting myself on the back for being a trusting husband. I replayed the conference in my head. The smile, the energy, the way she'd come back lighter instead of drained. If you've ever ignored a red flag because you wanted peace, comment denial below. I already knew that word too well. That night, I didn't confront her. I watched, observed, listened. She talked about her co-workers, mentioned a man's name once, quickly, casually, then never again. She was affectionate in small doses, just enough to keep things normal, not enough to feel real. The test results weren't conclusive proof of anything yet. People get tested for many reasons. That's what I told myself. That's what I needed to believe, so I could sleep next to her without shaking. But belief doesn't erase facts. It just delays them. The next morning, I noticed something else. Her phone was suddenly face down, always within reach. Notifications silenced. New passwords. New boundaries I hadn't agreed to. Marriage doesn't end all at once. It fractures quietly, then pretends nothing happened. I scheduled my own appointment that day. Didn't tell her. Didn't ask permission. Just did it. Share this story professionally with someone who values truth over comfort. Some conversations start with silence. While waiting for my results, I started connecting dots I'd ignored for years. The distance, the excuses, the way intimacy had slowly become optional. I wondered how long she'd been preparing for this version of herself, the one who could smile while hiding something that could destroy us. When my test results came back, I didn't open them immediately. I sat in my truck outside the clinic, hands on the steering wheel, heart steady in a way that scared me. Calm isn't always peace. Sometimes it's acceptance arriving early. I opened the results in the truck. No dramatic pause. No shaking hands. Just quiet focus. Negative. Clean. Relief came, but it was thin, fragile, because the relief wasn't about my health. It was about confirmation. Whatever Elizabeth had tested for, it wasn't for me. I didn't go home right away. I drove aimlessly, letting the realization settle. When you're married long enough, you know when the question stops being, did something happen, and becomes, how long has it been happening? That's the shift that changes everything. That night, I told her I needed to talk. She agreed quickly, too quickly, like she'd been expecting it. We sat at the kitchen table, the same place we'd planned vacations, argued about paint colors, celebrated promotions. I asked her directly why she'd been tested. No accusations. No raised voice, just a question. She looked at the table, then at me. She didn't deny it. That hurt more than any lie could have. She said the conference got complicated, said she felt lonely, said it just happened. Every cliché delivered calmly, like she was reading a summary instead of confessing a betrayal. I asked if it was ongoing. She hesitated. That hesitation answered me. She said she didn't know what she wanted anymore. Said she'd been unhappy for a long time. I noticed how none of that explained the secrecy, the smiles, the risks. If you think unhappiness justifies betrayal, comment below and explain why. Let's discuss it honestly. I told her I'd seen the test results, that I'd gotten tested too. That part finally rattled her. She asked why I hadn't talked to her first. I almost laughed. Trust doesn't ask permission after it's broken. She cried then. Not loud, not messy. Controlled tears. The kind that come when consequences finally enter the room. She said she was sorry. Said she never meant to hurt me. Said it didn't mean what I thought it meant. I listened. I always had. But something was different. The anger I expected never showed up. What I felt was clarity. Clean and cold and final. I told her I wasn't interested in repairing something she'd already replaced. That I wouldn't compete with a stranger for my own marriage. She asked if I was leaving. I said yes. Not tonight, but soon. She asked if we could try counseling. I asked why she hadn't tried honesty first. She had no answer. We slept in separate rooms that night. In the morning, I packed quietly. No speeches. No ultimatums. I left my ring on the dresser. Not as a statement. As closure. The days after were strange. Friends reached out. Her sister called. Some people told me to fight. Others told me I'd done the right thing. What surprised me most was how light I felt. Sad, yes, but not crushed. The marriage had been ending long before the conference. The test just gave it a date. Elizabeth texted a week later, asking if we could talk again. I replied politely and declined. Boundaries aren't punishments. They're protection. If this story resonates with someone you know navigating betrayal, share it thoughtfully. Stories like this remind people they're not alone. I filed for separation the following month. No public drama. No social media posts. Just paperwork and quiet resolve. Healing doesn't need an audience. Sometimes I think about the man from the conference. I don't hate him. He was a symptom, not the cause. The real fracture was a choice Elizabeth made to step outside instead of speaking up. That choice told me everything I needed to know. Trust, once broken, doesn't shatter loudly. It dissolves. And when it's gone, love has nothing to stand on. If you believe James handled this with strength, type clarity in the comments. And if you value stories grounded in truth, like this video, leave your thoughts below and subscribe, because understanding real boundaries might save you years of silence.